Hello everyone, so I finished the part 2 of the Doom Eternal DLC. This is the Ancient Gods part 2, which came out on Thursday. I was able to beat it in just about 3 hours, but this is the conclusion to the Doomslayer saga in Doomiverse, if we want to call it that. So without further ado, let me get into my review for this little DLC campaign add-on. So as I said, this campaign took me about 3 hours long, and I was searching for little secrets, doing gore nests, little things like that. So you can fly by it pretty quickly, and even quicker than I did if you really just want to shoot through it, which felt like it was a little short. Part 1 was definitely at least had like another hour or two of content on top of it, and I was expecting this to be a little longer, but it's the expectation. What it did with the time that it took up was very, very effective, very epic, very amazing, and what we all love from Doom. Some of the fights in it and some of the sequences reminded me of Endgame because of how much was going on in the background. You see huge monsters and humanized mechs fighting each other, demons and a bunch of human soldiers going at it, fighting for basically humanity's survival or overtaking it, and it's super epic. The music is fantastic. Like I said, Mick Gordon isn't with Bethesda anymore doing the music, but the new guy who took over fucking killed it this time around with the music. It was so epic and climatic, cinematic, everything, all the big C words. Yeah, it was so much fun to play, and just grinding through it was really, really amazing. The gunplay and everything is smooth as ever. Of course, all of the environments you go to are so pretty and so detailed, and whether it be lush environments on Earth or crazy burned hellscapes of hell, it was really fantastically put together, pretty to look at while you destroy and rip and tear demons. One thing that did disappoint me a little bit is in part 1 there was some enemy variety that they added in that really shook up the gameplay, and there were brand new things that made it a lot tougher to actually progress through, because these enemies would, like I said, just really shake up the gameplay almost like Marauders did. But in this one, there's enemies that don't really do that, and there's only 2 different types of enemies they add in. One is these stone imps who move really fast, but they have hardened skin, so it's a lot tougher to kill them. You can take them out with a new weapon, which I'll get into really quickly. That's a 1-hit as long as they're within the radius of the attack. And of course your chainsaw will take them out in one go as well, but they're basically bullet sponges where they won't do much damage at all. But what they'll do is they'll basically jump up and, almost like Kano from Mortal Kombat, roll into a ball and then shoot you off. And their objective too is to like hit you off the edge of the map. They will group together and just keep hitting you, so you're constantly being pushed back. And then there's a Baron of Hell who, same thing as the spirits, where you gotta use your plasma rifle to take out their armor, and then you can go at them and actually kill them, take out their health. Or they have basically a big ball and chain on their hand, and when that glows red, you can shoot it. It'll take out their armor immediately without having to use the plasma rifle to take them out. And like I said, there's one new weapon that this game adds in, and I actually don't remember what it's called because I just kept calling it the bonk hammer. But this is basically like it's like the crucible sword that you had earlier on, but it's a big hammer, and what it does is you jump up and there's smaller health enemies, hit the ground with them, and it'll like pretty much wipe out all of the smaller enemies in one hit. But when it comes to bigger enemies, it staggers them and basically dazes them, so you can basically whip out your chain gun. That's usually what I did, and go to town on them and take out a bunch of their health while they're dazed. So that's a very good thing to use and definitely get good at. But you fill up that meter to use this by performing glory kills, freezing enemies and killing them, burning enemies and killing them, using the grenade launcher to kill them, like little things like that, even using a chainsaw. That's how you fill up this meter, and then you can bonk the big enemies and go to ham with them. And then there is one addition kind of to more of the platforming, but the meat hook. Now what you can do is when you attach to basically certain levers in the air, you can move your controller, or basically move the keys on your keyboard or your controller to swing around buildings and certain objects. So like if you want to get collectibles and little things like that, you'll have to swing and just jump to the platforms instead of just kind of a straight shot. You can actually like not just go straight, you can lurk around and even give yourself a little bit more of a boost. So it shakes up the platforming a little bit in that way. So of course the level design, the combat design, everything like that is like the new Doom games have been, just flawless and impeccable. And every single fight, every single arena that you find yourself in. And there's sometimes too where you're progressing through an area, and then all of a sudden right when you're about to get through this little cave entrance, big urgent energy field will come up, and then you turn around and there's a bunch of enemies behind you, and it definitely tricks you and pisses you off a little bit like that, but you're excited because you're like, oh, okay, well, screw you guys for not letting me go through here. I'm gonna rip and tear all of you apart. So it's still really fun in that way. It plays with you a little bit, and like I said, just keeps you on your toes and keeps you going. But when it comes to the final boss in this, I was a little disappointed because knowing that you're going up against basically the Doomslayer of the Hell universe, there is a really lot of cool lore with this character, which I don't want to go too much into for spoiler's sake, but I thought that the fight was going to be so evenly matched where you're going up against a character who would maybe be even quicker and faster than the Marauders were. Like, you're basically going to go up against yourself, and I get how that could be tough to program, but the fight is a little lackluster compared to that, where he's in this big mech suit, and this is one of the cheapest boss battles I've ever fought in most video games that I played, where it almost felt like a combination of so many Mortal Kombat bosses in terms of just how cheap this fight was. Where if he hits you with his Argent Energy sword, he collects your health, and there's so many times where I was nowhere near the radius of his health, but then all of a sudden his health bar went from being like I drained it halfway and it would go all the way up to full again. And of course that gets a little frustrating after a little bit, and he doesn't really do too much to shake up his combat throughout the 4 stages that you fight him through. He will summon, kind of like the Marauder summons the wolf, he's able to summon basically any type of demon you fought, and it was really tough to kind of level up the bonk hammer that you got, where there was no additional ammo around, and really tough to really get the glory kills when you're just fighting him and you have to use the bonk hammer to kill all of these other villains. And it's like the Marauder 2 where you have to wait for him to flash green to hit him, and he barely does that, and it just felt like a really prolonged and, just, like I said, just cheap, disappointing fight, unfortunately. But the conclusion of it is really epic. In terms of wrapping up Doomslayer Saga, it does kind of just ends and go a little flat, and we'll have to wait till a sequel, if we get one, to see what happens with it. But it's kind of what we all thought from the first Doom game, where again, for spoiler sake, I don't want to say too much, but he was awoken to basically protect humanity from a threat that was coming, and then just the way that it ends, something that like you could predict would happen when he finished his job, but it just ends so quick and so flat, and like I said, just a little lackluster. But the finale of him getting to the stage and being able to fight the Dark Lord and all this stuff was so epic and amazing. And just like I said, the end game level battle and scale that this game was on was so fantastic to watch and play through. So it's super exciting and just great in so many regards. And kind of with all of this taken together, the gameplay, the things I didn't like about it, but so many things that I absolutely loved playing through this DLC, I'm going to give Doom Eternal: The Ancient Gods Part 2 an 8 out of 10, and I do highly recommend you play this for the story, the amazing scale, the amazing cutscenes that they have, music, battles. It's just absolutely fantastic, and for any fan of Doom Eternal, this, I must say, is a must play for you. So if you played Doom Eternal: The Ancient Gods Part 2, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below, and what you're kind of excited for Doomslayer, just the Doom franchise after this. Of course, if you like what you see in this video, you can check out my full walkthrough, of course, of The Ancient Gods Part 2 and every other thing that I do gaming-wise, movie-wise, on my channel down below. You can also check out the link to my Twitch, where I do most of my live streams and video game playing on there, and also Discord, where you can help build a community of all the things that we love, media, video game, TV, entertainment wise, through there down below, which is also, like I said, just linked in my description. And of course, if you like what you see here, subscribe, turn the little ringer on if you want to know when I upload new videos. But definitely check out, like I've said a million times, broken record here, Doom Eternal: The Ancient Gods Part 2, because it is wicked and just awesome, guys.